We're joined now by Ben Verwaayen, CEO of BT. You're actually the outgoing CEO. Ben, first of all, you were talking in the session that we just had about responsible development and responsible leadership, that you had some very aggressive targets at BT in terms of carbon emission reductions, but you met resistance when you first moved into BT. How did you get round that resistance, overcome it?
Well, there are two phases of the same story. The one phase is that BT has won the Dow Jones Sustainability Prize for 8 years in a row. So when I came 6.5 years, they were on their way on sustainability in a very big way already. But the other part was, how can we accelerate from where we are? And the acceleration has phases around carbon and carbon emission, it has phases around diversity, it has phases about the way you globalize, and there I find much more resistance than on what I would say the more easy ways. Now if you look to what we have done on target setting for ourselves and writing the plans to get there for an 80% reduction in emission, it is, I would say, a clear definition of what success should look like. Many people have an incremental nature in life. You know, we do it a step little bit better than what we did yesterday. If you stay incremental, it takes too long to make really a difference, and you do not inspire people to think out of the box. So I am not so much in favor of incremental thinking, and that was one of the things to demonstrate it was in the whole sustainability issue.
But then you said that you did meet some resistance when you
of course.
suggested that. So how did you overcome that?
Well, to be persuasive, and there are two ways to be persuasive. It's the carrot and the stick. One of the things that I strongly believe in is that of the power of transparency. So when it comes to diversity, for example, in BT, for a while I did what probably is not very common in certain countries, but I read out in public those managers who had not done their fair part of the job to get female direct reports. And just by naming them, guess what? Something happened in the organization. And the same as with carbon. If you make something transparent and you say to people, just put your signature under it. So if you have a lousy performance, you know, the only penalty is everybody will know about it. Guess what? Something happens.
Do you think it's for business leaders to set the direction regarding green initiatives, regarding sustainable development? Or do you think that should be the role of politicians and governments?
For a long time this was a kind of passionate debate about beliefs. Is climate change there or not? And then came a fantastically important report from an economist, actually, Nicholas Stern. And what Nicholas Stern said is very simple. I'm going to calculate for you the risk and the consequences if the risk materializes. Now, as any other business, you have to look in your annual report and you have to list the risks and you have to talk about mitigation. That's what business does all the time. And therefore, all of a sudden, climate change was no longer a set of beliefs, do I believe Al Gore or not? It became something that is right in everything the business does. It looks to risks and mitigation. So I think business has a big role to play because consumers will drive this whole issue. And this issue means we need to enable consumers with the right services and the right products to make the right choices. Governments have to set targets. Civil servants have to make the policies, business has to execute. And there is a triangle between the consumer, the government and business, in which we have to play our, I think, very vocal role.
But when it comes to businesses, most of it is just short-term, trying to meet the financial targets for the shareholders.
Absolutely right.
And the shareholders really aren't going to look kindly, though, are they? That things start costing money, or attention gets diverted from the bottom line.
Let me give you an example. 40 years ago, routinely business murdered people, and we call that health and safety. And there were accidents. All of a sudden, we didn't take it for granted anymore. We said to the board, why don't you publish it and put your signature under it? And guess what? It has been reduced by, I believe, 95%. So I think carbon is the new currency. Whether we like it or not, we will get regulation or legislation and taxation unless we do something ourselves. So it is in the business interest, it's not an ethical thing, it's in the business interest to take this very serious and look end to end what we're doing. And look to the reputational issue. Ask Nike how important it is to check your supply chain. Well, they will tell you it is a make or break. And the same we have to do with carbon. It is very doable.
But by and large, do business leaders get it? I mean, do they understand the sense of urgency, the importance?
Well, there's more than green if you talk about corporate social responsibility. To be honest, I think my generation has not been very, very good in getting it. I think young people have intuitively much more a feel for it. The problem is, how do we allow them to take their talent and to spread it more widely? To have the definition of success not very narrow on just what you need to do for the next quarter, but to make sure that you use talent and make it into a broader picture. Now, there are only two ways to get that done. The first one is by having a debate of what success is. Have a debate about what is really talent, and have a debate about what does it mean for us as an organization to reach certain targets. And reputation, feed from the customers, they will choose with their feet, and government and environment will drive, I think, a change there. And the second thing is very simple. What do leaders do? They can only do three things. Set a tone, set the agenda, and choose the right people. You have to look for better leaders, because we need to get better people, more diverse, in a much more inclusive tone setting and an agenda that is broader than the next quarter.
You've done something that's very much in line with what INSEAD's promoting, the idea of transcultural leadership. And you were talking about trying to get people from diverse backgrounds into boards and within companies. How important is that for you?
I think it's crucial. It's the same about all the other aspects. It is in the best interest of the business. You sell to a very diverse environment, a very diverse set of customers, and a very diverse society. How can you understand that if you have a monoculture inside? You can't. So it is imperative, but very uncomfortable. And the fact that you can get out of your comfort zone and choose not what you see in the mirror in the morning, what you like so much, but you choose what is intuitively against that to work with you and to make sure you have the different opinions and experiences and backgrounds around the table, will make the debate more intense, will make the passion more needed, and therefore get, in my view, much better decisions.
Finally, I'd just like to turn to the fact that you are stepping down from BT. And there's a headline in The Guardian that was saying Ben Verwaayen, the man who brought broadband to Britain. What would you see as being your legacy of that 6-year period at BT? Well,
first of all, it broke my heart when I came to the conclusion for myself that freshness in leadership would require for me now to step down. It wasn't that I was losing my passion for the business or losing the passion for our people. It was my firm belief set that if you are not wondering and asking the questions, but you understand it and you give the answers, that you cannot be a change leader. So it was a painful process for me. And I think my legacy is not up to me to describe. First of all, I don't think my role is to create a legacy. My role is to create empowered people. But if you ask me what is my measurement of the memory that I have on BT, it's the way that people come in the office at 7:30 in the morning. If you want to judge any company, just stand at the front door at 7:30 in the morning and see how they come in. It's early, I agree with that, so it's difficult to find smiles. But if you see people with confidence, if you see people from all walks of life, of all kind of backgrounds, coming into the same building to work together, you know that you've done something right.
Ben Verwaayen, outgoing CEO of BT, thanks for joining us on
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.